So this year, the National Hurricane Center is doing something majorly different that we have never seen before. This is called the issuance of potential tropical cyclones. They use the same numbering systems as tropical depressions, and they also have their formation potential just as a normal cyclone would. Tropical Storm Brett used to be potential tropical cyclone 2. Now, obviously, it is a tropical storm, and tropical storm warnings and watches are in effect for both of these systems. And we're going to go through the basics of what's going on with the Hurricane Center, how we translate that to our forecast, and how that eventually comes out, also through the addition of looking at aircraft reconnaissance missions and models. So let's get started here. You can see right now that potential tropical cyclone 3 and Brett are there. So we're going to start with Brett. There it is right now. You can see the winds are centered to the north part of the system. So we're going to head down here to our map. And we're going to make our normal dot like we normally do at the center. And according to the Hurricane Center, the center of the storm is at 9.5, which is right about there, and 60.5, which is right about there. So you can see just off the coast of Venezuela is where that storm is located. That's the center of the storm. Then we're going to transfer our color and make it into this green color, which for us denotes a tropical storm. We're going to make the wind field to the northern part of the system. We're going to have that extend about right there. And remember, this forecast is for the next 5 days. And I think about right there is good. And remember, I'm basing this off of the National Hurricane Center cone. Then we'll wrap this around there. Sorry. And that looks good there. And then, of course, finish the current wind field out on this storm. So that's the general tropical storm force winds. Now, for where it goes in the future, you can see that it tends to become no longer as strong and could either become a post or potential tropical cyclone. So what I think we're going to do with this storm, which storm are we? This one right here. You see we have that low pressure area right there. We're still in the storm going around, but there we go. You can see that that's obviously the center of the storm. That was earlier today. So we'll just head back here to current storms. Of course, Tropical Storm Brett is the storm that we want to look at. And we'll look at the models. You see generally, here's Venezuela right here. Here's Colombia right here, Panama right here, etc., etc. So through 5 days, which is 120 hours, we have points up here, 96 hours for most of them, 48 hours all the way out here. So that's how quickly moving of a system this is. This could landfall on South America, which would be interesting. If it falls on Trinidad and Tobago right there, that'd be the only fifth tropical storm or greater, and the sixth tropical cyclone to do so. But in general, I think we're going to keep with the southern looking path, and we're going to take it out to the Honduras and Nicaragua coast as probably a tropical depression. Let's see, there's that right there. You see staying around low in tropical storm strength, maybe coming down, maybe heading back up. So we'll just keep that for the tropical storm force strength wind field. And then when we switch colors here to make it a tropical depression, we're just going to extend this out to the 48-hour point, so about there. And that looks all right. Now, after this, I think that it has the possibility of reformation. So we're going to go over here. We see I'm going to give it a 70 to 90, a high chance of formation. So we'll put it red. This is really convenient, the colors that I'm using. Very easy in RGB format to put in here. I'm not going to have it affect any land here. Now remember, even if it makes landfall on Venezuela, it might not even have tropical storm force winds in that area. So that's a thing. All right. So now we have the forecast for this storm done. We're going to go ahead and color it in. And I'll pick right back where I left off on the next storm. All right. So one of the things that I do different from the Hurricane Center is I focus on where the storm's main threats are in the cone rather than where the center of the storm will be. Because in actuality, the center of the storm doesn't really matter except for technical purposes of where its landfall occurs at. But like I said, it can make landfall in Venezuela, but the hardest hit area would be Trinidad and Tobago. So I added all these in, and of course the land masses I make a darker shade, as you can see there. So I have it, the opacity I changed between those two. As we continue on, we're going to add in the current watches and warnings with these systems. Well, in this case, only Tropical Storm Brett. So we'll head back to the cone. Right there, you see Tropical Storm watches right there and there. Tropical Storm warnings right there. So now I'm just going to add in those warnings and watches on here, and we'll pick up back right where I left off. So you can see right there, I just added in the watches and warnings as they were on the National Hurricane Center's cone forecast. And I guess next we're going to be working on potential Tropical Cyclone 3 right here with a high chance of formation. Now, the chances of formation don't matter for potential tropical cyclones, at least in my thought. So you see, the tropical storm force field is way larger than that of Tropical Storm Brett, but you can see how that could affect. That's why the center of the storm might make landfall here in that area of Louisiana. That's only a tropical storm watch, because the worst part of the winds will be here in Louisiana. The worst part of the rain will actually be in Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and Florida. So that is the Florida Panhandle, not really a good chunk of Florida. So we're gonna just like we did for the last one, graph the center of the position in the cone, and I'll be back after I do that. So now for potential tropical cyclone 3, I added in the same things I did with the last one, but of course, even the potential tropical cyclone, the focus is on that wind field, that current wind field that you see there. I also added in the tropical storm watches and warnings along the coast of Louisiana and Texas. And you can see that the remnants of this even flow up into Ohio in the next 5 days. So we will keep an eye on that. I'll add in the numbers of each storm, which will be labeled Area 1 and Area 2, and some information about them. You'll see how that goes. Just hold up. You now see that I added some text into it, including the time and date of issue, which is 7 minutes from now, which means that I need to make the Instagram video here shortly. And additionally, you see that I colored in the center of the circle. I forgot to do that earlier. And I wrote about a paragraph for each of these storms. Now, if we have any more than 2 storms in the basin, I'll have to make more than one map, and I'll do that by shading like a side of the map out and saying see other Atlantic forecaster, something along those lines. We'll see. We haven't had that situation yet. Then we go to our tropical weather outlook page. Now that's going to be right here. We'll edit the time and date. I already knew that we had day in there. And speaking of which, I actually wrote the wrong day there, and I would have to undo many things. So we'll just do that and then type back in 20 in its place. Make sure that we get our font size up. And then it looks about good as new. I mean, I do the best that I can. The next Outlook will be tomorrow. Here was yesterday's when the program crashed. And then we'll add a new slide. We're going to insert a screenshot. Not yet. All right. Now we can insert a screenshot. We just head over here and we make sure that we get the entire photo. And then we adjust the bottom to the bottom. Make sure that it's centered. Do a little test. Make sure that this all looks good. Still too far ahead. Maybe one day I'll get it. Right, you know what? There we go. Looks pretty good to me. And then I'll make my Instagram video, which I'll add to the end of this to show you guys how that looks. Here's the latest tropical weather outlook. And let me tell you, this one's a doozy right here. We have two big storms. Not that strong per se, but definitely rainmakers in the process. The first one we're going to focus on because it's affecting the United States is potential tropical cyclone 3. That's located in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico. That's heading up towards Louisiana. Tropical storm warnings here in blue. Tropical storm watches here in yellow. You can see that it will become a tropical storm sometime soon, would be our guess. Become a tropical depression as it weakens over land, and the remnants will flow over here through the east central United States. Additionally, we have Tropical Storm Brett, which just formed from potential Tropical Cyclone 2. That's expected to move up here towards Nicaragua and Honduras. But remember, that storm's going to really get beaten up with wind shear as it goes over Venezuela and Trinidad and Tobago. So that'll become a depression. You can see, once again, the tropical storm warnings in blue, tropical storm watches in yellow. And then it has a high chance of reformation, would be my guess. It might not even reform at all. So maybe in the next update, it might end up being that gray color. So we'll see what we got. We'll have more updates tomorrow. Next National Hurricane Center advisories are at 10 p.m. Central Time for potential Tropical Cyclone 3 and at 11 p.m. Eastern Time for Tropical Storm Brett. That's the same time, in case anybody's wondering.